We got an early look at KWA's long-awaited KZ61 pistol in this episode of the Gear Guide. Alright guys, if you follow the channel, you know I've been waiting quite a while to get my hands on this little guy, the KZ61 submachine pistol by KWA. In fact, I've even highlighted it in the last SHOT Show video, and it was teased in the year before. So this one has been on my wish list for a long time, and I'm really excited to get a hold of this final production sample to run a full test. So first, let's start with the externals on this gun. I mean, it's mostly metal with a little bit of polymer here on the lower receiver and the grip. Everything else is solid metal, and it's a really thick metal too. It's not thin. This thing is built extremely well, and it shows in the weight. This thing weighs in at just under 2.8 pounds, so it is rather beefy for a pistol, but it's still way lighter than most submachine guns out there in the market, so it allows you to run this in both roles if that's what you decide to do. When you look at the controls, even though they are on the left side of the gun, they are lefty friendly for the most part. Shooting main and offhand, I'm a righty by the way, I had no problem working the fire selector with my pointer finger on my left hand as well as my thumb on my right, depending which hand I was running in it. And for those of you that are big fans of akimbo, I'm not huge of it, you can actually run this pretty well dual wield if that's your sort of thing. The fire selector is just like the real one. It sits in safe in the middle. You swing it back toward the rear of the gun for semi and swing it toward the front toward full auto. Mag release is on that left side. It's really not that hard to get to with the righty. It's probably the only control that's a little more righty friendly than anything else. And the charging handle is on both sides. It's equal because on the real Skorpion, the rounds eject from the top of the weapon. So you'll grab that either lefty, righty, or what I do, I just kind of grab it on the top and pull it back and lock it. It works either way. Of course, locking into the sights, which is kind of a notch and a little post here in the front, it's actually adjustable for elevation here in the back too for two settings, is the stock. And that's kind of the signature look of the Skorpion. And you just simply clip it here around the front sight, swing it back, and boom, you've got a little submachine gun. Now, understandably, on this sample, I'm not sure if it's gonna be like this in the final one, there is a little bit of play on this stock when it's in its locked back position. When it's forward, it's secure. When it's back, it does wobble a bit, but I found when shouldering the weapon, it doesn't cause any issue at all. I wasn't having any problems putting rounds down range in both semi and full with this weapon shouldered. So again, it's just one of those little things. It's not a big deal, but when you want it out of the way, you have two options. One, you can pinch it here, flip it right back forward and lock it around that front sight post again and give you that great cool look. Or two, there's a small pin here in the back, you press it in and you can slide the entire stock off to lower the weight of the weapon. It probably drops about 0.3 pounds, 0.4 pounds, but every little ounce counts when you want to use this thing as a pistol. So how does this thing perform? That's the real question here. So on the chrono, we were seeing around 320 FPS, give or take a few at start, and it dropped down to right around 300 on the last shot in the 20 round included mag. And rate of fire was super beefy at 22 rounds a second. So unfortunately, that means with the 20 round mag, you're gonna be dumping this thing in less than a second. I really hope KWA comes out with the longer mags. I saw them in pre-release, and I'm sure they're gonna put them out here either on the final release of this gun or shortly thereafter. Gas efficiency was actually pretty good with the NS2 system, the KWA's proprietary system, and it really kind of drained the mag around that last shot. Accuracy was actually really good as well. This thing was as accurate as some of the best KWA pistols I've shot out there, and as accurate as, in my opinion, their best SMG when it comes to accuracy, their KMP9. That thing's a laser beam, and this thing is right on. The shots were clean, the shots were far, and it's because they use the same hop-up system, I think, and all the rest of their guns use that tool. You can enter it right here from the top and make those fine-tune adjustments to dial that hop up all the way in. And finally, of course, tear down. Any gas guns are gonna require some maintenance, and let's face it, some gas guns are a nightmare to break down and work on. Well, let me tell you what, this one is the exception to that rule. This thing is easier to tear down than almost any gas blowback pistol I've worked on in my life. Simple one pin slides right out, the upper comes off the lower, and it accesses the internals. And while we're in the internals, let me tell you what, the beefiness of those internals, man, they are built extremely well. Very thick metal, very solid metal, and a huge buffer in the back of the weapon to absorb the recoil of those 22 rounds a second full auto blast that the KZ61 Skorpion is putting out. I really think KWA did a good job on these internals. Looking at them, I don't see anything in here that's going to raise a flag that this thing is going to wear out anytime soon. So bottom line, if you're looking for a really cool submachine pistol and SMG for that matter, that does both very well, but also is really easy to shoot as a pistol, which is really rare for these SMGs or these compact submachine guns, take a look at the KZ61 Skorpion at your local or online authorized KWA retailer when it drops in late 2014. So guys, I didn't have a lot of time with this, so I wanted to get some more performance testing and teardown in there. But if you're a big fan of awesome photos, check out Tom Harris's video from Airsoft Obsessed of the Skorpion. He's got some fantastic photos, a lot of better close-ups than I can do. His photography is off the chain. Click it right over here on the bottom left or the link down in the description and head over there and give it a look. It's kind of the yin to the yang for this review I'm doing here. Also, is this a gun that you would pick up? Do you think you would own one of the Skorpions if you had the chance? Personally, I'm definitely going to add this to my collection because it just shoots so well as a pistol, which is surprising for a submachine gun. Usually they're really awkward or you got to hold them in a weird way, and this one just works, at least for me it does. Let me know also in the comments down below. Well guys, that's it for this episode of the Gear Guide. I'll be back in the next one, but first I've got to go off to the desert, search for an ancient tome, and go hunt down the mummy that's threatening to cause the apocalypse.